So we're now going to talk to Mark in Canada. Hi, Mark. How can we help you?
Hi, guys. How are you doing?
I'm
Thanks.
good. How you doing?
I'm not too bad. I just wondered if you have ever heard of spirit guides or meditating or anything like that. Have you ever heard about that?
I've heard of meditating.
Yeah, I actually do a lot of content. Like most of the TikTok stuff that I do is geared towards spiritualists and new age spiritualists. So crystals, manifestation, spirit guides, Reiki, all that type of stuff I'm very familiar with. And yeah, so I'll just say that for now.
So I'm not familiar with spirit guides.
Okay, well, I've had situations where I go to a spiritualist church, and in the church, I'm able to find out things about people that I have no way of knowing. And the way that I explain it to myself is that a spirit guide has told me, kind of whispered it in my ear, and told me something about that person. And
Sure.
I've kind of built a relationship with these guides and these spirit guides.
Okay, so
meditation.
Mark, can I ask you a question before I get lost? And I know I cut people off, but it's to just keep track of a conversation a little
That's okay.
before we go on.
That's okay. Go ahead.
Do you think like replication is a good thing in terms of knowing whether like what you purport is the phenomena is actual the phenomena? What I mean is, can you replicate that? Can you do that about me or Katy right now? Because my skeptometer is going to go really high if you tell me you can't.
Yeah.
Well, I normally do it within the church, and usually I set myself up. If I know I'm working in the church, I usually do a meditation before I go into the church and do the readings. Like if I'm the one that's the medium for the day, I will meditate beforehand to prepare myself for doing a reading.
But could
I can't do it all the time. I have to be prepared.
You didn't prepare for this call?
You didn't prepare.
So you didn't prepare for calling into two skeptics to try to prove that to them?
What you should do, Mark,
that's what I would have done.
Regardless of where this conversation goes, next week you should go to your church, ask if you can do, go in and off hours or whatever, do a meditation, then call in, and you can get prioritized, and you can reveal some information about the hosts. I think that'll be exciting.
I will drop whoever I'm on the phone with for that. I really will.
Yeah, me too.
Would you? Okay.
Sorry, but yeah, I didn't want to.
I know a lot of people have asked for proof, and it's one of those things that is just kind of a fluky thing. I don't know how to describe it, but when I'm in front of somebody and I'm doing a reading, it just kind of all of a sudden I get this information comes to me.
So you say it's fluky, Mark.
It's not like I don't like the idea of doing a performance art.
Gotcha. I understand. I understand that. I won't be as. I'm not trying to be insensitive when I say it. I just say that. Look, in terms of when I construct how I know something, repeatability is very key, right? You're pretty much telling me that you don't have access to replication in the way that probably would satisfy science or myself or maybe Katy. My issue with that is now I'm saying it seems that now you've left the door open that the phenomena could be explained by something else. Would you accept that or would you not accept that?
Oh yeah, if it can be explained by something else. But you know what?
Okay, so Mark, hold on, real fast, because I don't want to get lost in this. Then what test or mechanism can we apply that would actually distinguish between the two?
Well, see, when you're getting conscious information, like when you're getting sentences or words, I don't think that just comes from a personless or something that's not conscious. I think it has to come from a conscious mind.
Yeah. Mike was more asking, like, how
the information.
Mike was more asking, like, how could we find out? How could we test? Whether what you were predicting or what you were saying, like if we were to set up some tests, what would be the best way to find out whether what you were saying was like more true than just random?
Well, whether or not what I say is accurate or whether what I say comes true, I guess that's the way you can do it.
Sure,
Right.
but you've already admitted that there could be some phenomena that explains it, like coincidence, or the fact that maybe these are very vague things that you're saying and they're not very specific. We don't have any example. We're just being told secondhand that you can do these things. But I don't see in virtue of what you can distinguish between it being coincidence versus what you claim it is if you haven't actually developed an accurate test for it. Seems like you've just sided with the thing that you think it is first and haven't had any investigative.
Well, if you look at Eastern religions meditate a great deal, and they are very, very psychic. They have a great deal of mediumship powers and abilities.
I disagree with that.
I've not seen any evidence of that at all.
I actually think it's entirely. Not only do I not believe it, I think it's entirely false. Like I think that's a claim we can show is false.
Yeah, I think when people claim to be able to have medium powers, I mean that just seems very testable to me. Like it's not a claim about an unknowable God. It's like I can tell information about someone without being told it, and then we can just go, well, let's do it then. Let's just do the test. And if anyone was capable of doing that, I feel like they would, we would have heard about it.
Well, somebody would have won James Randi's money by now.
Yeah.
I mean, or before it was.
Well,
James
Randi was somebody that didn't want to prove anything. He made it so difficult to prove the test that he did.
No, that's not true at all. Actually, he fooled a bunch of scientists. He did the opposite. He's fooled scientists into not thinking they had an explanation. Go look at there's a whole conversation with him.
I used to look on his website to see what is parameters, parameters or parameters were. Yeah. And he was asking people to do levitation and to do supernatural.
He wasn't asking people to. He's not asking people to do things. He's asking people to demonstrate the claims that they claim. You're shifting the arrogance and hubris onto James. That'd be like you coming to me and saying, look, because you've already claimed to me you can talk to spirit guides, right? That'd be like you when I ask you, okay, like early in the call, well, why don't you do it? And you start going off on what my expectations are is entirely fucking irrelevant to the fact that you claim you can do these things with spirit guides. Like it sounds like, Mark, I'm sure you're a great person. It's nothing against you, but I haven't heard. It's like the same dance I've gone with like the last 10 years when I talk to people about this stuff. Especially I came from a spiritualist background, so this is like my forte. The reason why I got out of it is because nobody can demonstrate these claims to be true. They make excuse after excuse after excuse. You started with an excuse that it has to be in a church setting. You started with an excuse that it seems to be potentially random, and then that it can also be confused with coincidence, but you don't actually have the test at which to determine one or the other. So like all I hear are excuses. That's it.
Yeah, I guess like I feel like if I believed I had these abilities or whatever, I'd be really keen to test it and to show that I could do it to other people. I remember testing this myself when I was a kid. I remember there was a thing where my parents told me if you blow off all of the seeds off a dandelion clock in one blow, then you can make a wish and it'll come true. And so I remember being like, wow, no way. So I went and tested it, and I tested on something basic like, I wish we could have pizza for dinner or whatever. And then we did. And I was like, oh, it must be true. So I didn't then I thought, wow, maybe there's this magic power or whatever. So I went straight out and I got another load of dandelion clocks and I blew like 6 off and I wished for 6 different things, from like, I wish we had pizza for tea tomorrow to like, I wish that I could change into a chameleon or something. And none of it came true. And then I was like, oh, well, so now I've done a test. Maybe that's not conclusive enough test. And maybe we could say, oh, it only happens 1 in 7 times and you only tried 6 or these kinds of things. But like, that the point is that I had this belief in my mind, when I blow the seeds off a dandelion clock, I can make a wish and it'll come true. And I tested it. And I feel like, you should, if you've got these powers, like if you genuinely have these powers, Mark, like you should absolutely go and understand them, test them, and show people that you have them, and get into a situation where, because you could make big differences in people's lives. So if you can go and be like, oh, maybe it only works in a church, maybe it only works off an hour of meditation, but you could do that every single day, and you could charge thousands of pounds, and you could prove to international media and win James Randi's prize and all this kind of stuff by saying, here are the conditions in which I get it right, and I can show you that I get it right in test conditions. You know, some random person can turn up with a piece of secret information and you can tell it, and you can do that reliably 100 times in a row. Like, it's going to be difficult for people to keep saying it's a coincidence. Do you not think that that's reasonable? I just feel like that's the first thing I would do if I felt like I had some kind of supernatural power.
Well, I don't. The thing is that the way to get that ability is through meditation, and the only way, and anybody can meditate. I mean, it's a path that almost anyone, no matter who they are, can do, and can experiment even themselves. I've known.
Okay, so then why have we not confirmed this phenomena, Mark? Why is this not a confirmed phenomena? If everyone can do it and we can all test it, and I'm someone who still meditates to this day, I love meditating. To me, it's an entirely natural process of me just relieving stress. There's nothing woo-woo about it that I'm going to attach to it. But when you add that everybody can do this, my ears perk up going, cool, I can do this? Well, then how come it hasn't worked for me? But this is where I feel like the excuses are going to come back into the conversation, right?
Well, no, because the information doesn't come through a voice. It comes from an inner knowledge. It comes from the quiet voice that you hear, the little bit of information that rushes into your brain in the instant, and then you say it out loud, and they go, "Oh, wow, that's actually true. You know, that actually is right." So that you have to know
be able to test
when to say it and where the information is coming from and how it's coming through into your brain. That's what it is.
I don't know. Sorry, Katy, go.
I was just going to say, we'll take what you're saying and just say, okay, that's cool, that's true. You know, it's information that comes into your brain or whatever. But I feel like both my point and Jmike's point are still outstanding. Mine is, you should be able to show that it's true. Like, imagine the last 100 times in your church you've done that and it's been true. Like, start videoing it. Start getting people who aren't part of your church to come along and verify it.
Sure.
And also Jmike's point of like, if everyone can do it, like, teach people how to do it. How can Jmike do it? Like, I don't meditate.
Why are we holding this information from people? Like, it seems to me now you're at fault for not even, if this is true and you can actually do this. I don't know why it seems like you're doing the thing where what most charlatans do or most con men do. I'm not trying to call you that, but this is what they do, is that there's like selective conditions and then they don't want to share it with everybody. And then when there's like a prize to be won about it, they're like, well, I don't need the money. It's like, dude, come on. Everybody needs the money. There's always these type of charlatan remarks that I don't understand how someone's red flag doesn't, or how your own red flag doesn't pop off. Like, just to go, yeah, maybe there's some other explanation of why I can determine, some features about people.
I would think the opposite would be true. I think that if you're not doing it for money, then what's your motivation? You've got no motivation to do it unless it's for money.
People do it all the time. Clout.
I don't do readings for money.
People do it all the time for clout, for acceptance, there's a multitude of reasons.
To dunk on atheists? Like, just think imagine you'd be the first person who called in and absolutely wrecked me and Mike live on air. There'd be the most viral atheist clip we'd ever had, because you just call in, you tell us a piece of information that'd be like, no one could know that. Like, I have a few things that no one knows. I've got a little thing that if I ever go back in time, I can tell myself to prove myself that it's only me, that I'm never going to tell anyone. Imagine if you crack that out. That would be amazing. I'd be blown over. So,
yeah, but I don't know if you saw what the call screener said, but I'm not a theist. I'm agnostic. I'm not really a theist.
Okay, sorry. But if you could, wreck us on this show, us skeptic types.
Sure, well, it would. I mean, you're talking about, like, I'm a naturalist, so you would be in effect like dismantling my naturalism within a second. Mark, we're gonna get rolling so we can get some more calls and things like that. But I want to add, I just want to add, like, you have all this time for the next Sunday to talk with spirit guides or however it is. I'm not trying to like be rude or be insensitive or make fun, but if you claim that this is the case, I don't know why you didn't consult with them before you made the call to a show that has like 1,000 concurrent viewers. I'll set that to the side. But then secondly, why don't you in the future, you have all this time before we all go wherever we go, I think the ground, but why not call in next time, having talked to them, and tell me stuff? I give you permission. Even if it was some embarrassing moment that happened to me in my life, you can tell it on air and I will confirm whether it happened, because I want to know true things, even if it's expensive of embarrassing myself. So
yeah,
please,
I want to see you embarrass Mike on air.
Okay, I'll do what I can. I'll try to
Thanks,
meditate.
Mark. Please do. This could be world changing.
Bring me back to spiritualism if that's the case. So.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Mark. We'll talk to you next time.
Not a problem.